Welcome, viewers, to my views on news. I hope you're all keeping yourself safe, healthy, and happy. How are you, Mr. Sajid?
I'm fine, Miss Irma. How are you? Viewers say that Miss Irma should appear on this channel frequently. Just one video a week is not enough. So,
Well,
warm
that is
welcome to
very
you.
thank you. That I'll take it as a compliment, and I'll try to come more often now. Sajid, today we have picked up a very rather a controversial topic. Not only for Eritrea, but rest of the world is also debating on it, and it is conscription. Now, it has been said that 500,000 to 600,000 Eritreans have settled abroad. They have left the country. There are many reasons for it, but the main reason is considered to be this conscription. So, I would like you to first please explain us what is this conscription, when did it start, and where does it take place?
Well, conscription, everyone knows, means compulsory government service in the form of military service, in the form of national service. It happens across the world. Compulsory military training is uh, in practice in several countries in the world. In Eritrea, main objection is that this conscription is indefinite. How it started? It started when it was not compulsory. I think it was in 1994 when at Sawa military training camp it started. But back then, Eritrean youth they were not under any obligation. They were not forced to undergo military training. So they were volunteers. They were allowed to be part of this training, military training. Then they were allowed to leave at the end of training. It was a few months training. Then it was extended to 18 months, and then gradually it became indefinite. Eritrean government has its own position about what happens at Sawa,
Hmm.
but it started just as a military training camp at Sawa. Now it has turned into an issue which is a contentious issue. Eritrean youth inside the country, outside the country, they have mixed views about conscription, about Sawa.
Mr. Sajid, what is the rationale behind having this forced military training? Why it is so important for Isaiah's government to have it?
Firstly, how does it happen? In the 12th grade of their schooling, students have to report at Sawa. All students, male, female, all report at Sawa Military Training Center, which is in a hot area, not far away from border. And there at Sawa, they undergo military training and they continue studies as well. They have to pass their 12th grade exam while being at Sawa. And then the result of this exam, 12th grade exam, determines the future of Eritrean youth, which is in the hands of Eritrean government. I mean, if they get good marks, they're allowed to continue their education. They move on to colleges. Still, they remain part of national service. If they fail or if they don't achieve a criteria, then they become a part of military, part of police, and they have no say in these decisions. So indefinitely they remain part of the military, police, or national service. Rational. What is the rational? Your question was, what is the rational
Yes.
behind the decision by the government? As I said earlier, it wasn't indefinite. It started in 1994, and back then, Eritrea Ethiopia relations were not as bad. Then started Ethiopia Eritrea war, and there was a chokehold, you can say, on Ethiopian economy. Ethiopian Eritrean economy, sorry, a chokehold on Eritrean economy. Ethiopia was on good terms with the West, with the US. Eritrea came under sanctions, and Eritrea felt more threatened from Ethiopia. And that is what is said by Eritrean government, that because of threat, external threat from Ethiopia, Eritrea was left with no option but to train all its youth. Eritrea was not in a position to train all its, to raise a big military. It was suffering economically. It had fought a war as well. So it says that it had to choose this option of training all the youth. But the story does not end here. Eritrea chose the path of training its entire youth, but the youth, not only in military and police, but also in national service, just fell into the hands of Eritrean government, at the mercy of Eritrean government. So it was not just restricted to military. National service became indefinite as well. For example, teachers, they have been serving for years in government departments. The rationale is that they had to choose this option because they were faced with a bigger enemy, much bigger enemy, Ethiopia, much bigger country. So they had to choose this path of training all their youth, boys and girls.
Now the question, people are fed up because there are many accounts, and people say that it is they are there for indefinite period. And there are numerous people who are saying this. On the contrary, the government is denying and saying that no, it is only for 18 months. So, what is the truth?
Well, no one can deny that conscription in Eritrea is indefinite, firstly.
Okay.
Secondly, only thing is that education and military training are linked, associated. I mean, if you don't report at Sawa, you cannot get 12th a secondary school degree. You have to report at Sawa. It is mandatory for each and every Eritrean, firstly.
Hmm.
Secondly, how old are these boys and girls when they report at Sawa? They are in the 12th grade, so they would be around 16,
16
around
to
17,
18.
and they're not 18 mostly. Second concern about Sawa. So apart from being definite or indefinite, we must not overlook these two aspects, their age and that they cannot continue their studies. They have to report at Sawa. Next question you asked, definite or indefinite? Definitely
Yes.
indefinite. They are at the mercy of the government. Government will decide whether the youth should become part of military or part of police, or they'll work on development projects. Will they be paid? How much paid? No one knows. No criteria. There are criterias, but the criterias are basically violations of students' basic rights. That is
Hmm.
why we see reaction against this conscription in and outside LRT.
Yes. Well, according to UNO reports of human rights, which states that there have been violation of human rights in this camp Sawa, whereas the government is showing a very rosy picture of this camp and propagates that it is full of facilities and everything. So, what is the truth?
Sawa is a military training center, like military training centers are. As I said earlier, it's in a hot climate zone,
Hmm.
and students receive tough military training. They undergo physical exercises, parades. They learn weapon handling, this shooting, operations. It's a very tough military training. And yes, some excesses happen too. By the way, we must not forget that other countries are sending their soldiers to be trained in Eritrea. Eritrea trained thousands of Somalia soldiers just a few days ago. They returned to Somalia, 5,000, and now thousands of Somalis. They're being sent. More soldiers being sent to Eritrea, and we know that historically Eritrea has been training Ethiopian opposition groups. Oromo fighters, Damhit, Tigray fighters. They were trained in Eritrea. And
Right.
clearly, we know that others like Amhara, Fano fighters, they were trained by Eritrean army. So Eritrea has been training regional fighters for years. Country is sending their soldiers. It means that Eritrean military has this capability of training soldiers. They have good military trainers, perhaps. That is why other countries are sending their soldiers to Eritrea. Having said that, excesses do happen, though boys and girls are trained separately. But you might have heard about conversion disorder. A few months ago, I talked to some Eritrean students who have fled Eritrea, and they said that the Sawa recruits, some of them suffer from a particular disorder called conversion disorder. That this disorder manifests itself in the form of seizures, tremors. They cannot handle the tension there, tense environment, rigorous military training, so they suffer from this disease. And they're not properly treated. They are accused of being malingerers. So youth suffers. We cannot say that everything is rosy, but by the way, at military training centers, it happens. Across the world, it happens. In Eritrea, it happens more because students are facing dual pressure of studying 12th grade studies, pressure of passing the exam. Now, whether they pass or not, they are at the mercy of Eritrean government indefinitely.
Okay. I mean, because of this force military training, there are many uh, people who are fleeing the country, as I said before, because, as you said, that because they can't take the pressure or whatever reasons they are going through. And they're desperate to get out, they are frustrated, and this has been seen that the smugglers and the human traffickers are taking advantage of the situation, and these people who take a step to go illegally out, they go through a lot of difficulties and challenges. So can you briefly tell us about that also?
Yeah, you're right that the youth, obviously, those who don't want to report at Sawa, those who have been serving for years in national service, they want to flee the country. And when they want to flee the country, it means they are at the mercy of human smugglers, traffickers, and horrendous incidents have happened. horrific details have emerged in the past how these Eritrean youth suffer, physically abused, sexually abused. Some go through, and some don't make it to their destinations. They just die in their way while they want to reach Europe, Israel, America, wherever they want to go. But not all of them make it to their destination. So it's a very painful story if you talk about Eritrean refugees. Maybe in a separate video, we'll try to discuss this issue too. Eritrean refugees are suffering across the world despite some restriction, some relaxations by some government, some special laws for Eritrean people. Still, they are suffering.
Hmm. I think yes, we must discuss it in a separate session because it is a burning issue at the moment. What is the response of international community towards these this massive migration? I mean, how do they see it? What is their response? I mean, these people are going to Israel, and few of them, a lot of them have gone to Europe, and some are living as refugees in Ethiopia. So, how is international community seeing this and dealing with it? What is their reaction?
Well, their reaction is that they want to accommodate as many Eritreans as they can. Question is, can they play any role in putting an end to indefinite conscription in Eritrea? Are they playing a role? No role, because they're just issuing statements. They impose some sanctions. They tried to isolate Eritrea. It did not happen. Eritrea is still involved in this indefinite conscription, and Europe, US. I think they're waiting for all Eritreans to flee Eritrea. Maybe that is the approach adopted by them, because if there is no Eritrean in Eritrea, Isaias Afwerki will have no one to rule over. So otherwise, they have not adopted any comprehensive policy to force Eritrea to change its course. Of course, Eritrea is an independent country, but once people start fleeing a country and they start entering other countries, it becomes an issue for the other countries too. They are just issuing statements. We are seeing reports of Human Rights Watch, Amnesty. Question is, what did these countries do in the past to stop Eritrea from this? Nothing. Just a few sanctions, even those were targeted. They did not work. Then these countries uh, disassociated themselves from this issue. I think international community should be proactively pursuing this issue. It's a serious issue, but it has not been given due attention, I think.
Yes, in the end, I'll just say that, in this military compulsory training is there in Russia, Morocco, Mozambique, Angola, but the kind of stories we hear from Eritrea are different. So, yes, I think that this topic needs more attention than other topics. Thank you very much, Mr. Sajid. Any closing remarks?
Well, I would say that that Eritrean government should try to put a limit on this national service. Yes, they have right to train all their youth. No one can object to it. But and secondly, they should not associate schooling, education, and military service. It's an injustice. It's a violation of the rights of students. And thirdly, age factor should also be taken into account. And fourthly, girls who report there at Sawa, they are treated the way boys are treated. It's unfair. They need special relaxations too. So,
Yeah.
Eritrean government said a few some time ago that if Eritrea, Ethiopia relations improved, it could lead to some improvement regarding national service. And now, when peace deal has been signed between TPLF and Ethiopian federal government, and Isaias Afwerki is visiting Kenya. We have seen that we have seen him for the first time out of Eritrea in around 2 years. Faced very tough customs in Kenya, by the way. This is the time for Eritrean government to revisit its policy of indefinite military service. Let's hope, let's pray that Eritrean government changes its course and reviews its regulations and rules regarding indefinite military service and national service.
Well, all prayers for Eritreans. Thank you, Sajid, and thank you, viewers, for watching us. We look forward for your valuable feedback, comments, and suggestions. You can contact us on our email, and please do write to us if you want us to talk about a topic of your interest. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.